All right, here we are in the house, 361 atop the AC Marriott in Columbus, Ohio on the 5th annual Ohio tour. How exciting, because I get to be here with Safa Rashtchy, and I get to quiz him about his experience here in Ohio and why he's here in Ohio. But before we do that, the first thing I want to ask Safa, what did you do this afternoon here in the greater Columbus area in Ohio?
I had a lot of fun. A very nice lady named Anne convinced me to go to the lake. I forgot the lake's name.
Oh, Buckeye Lake.
Lake.
Yeah, Buckeye Lake.
That was a lot of fun. And then I came back to my hotel. And
Let's rewind. No, pardon me. Let's rewind. What did you do at Buckeye Lake? What did you do?
We went boating. We went boating and looked at the lake and looked at beautiful water lilies there. And it was wonderful, fantastic weather. I mean, I envy this. This is better weather than what we had in Palo Alto.
I know, right? And also too.
And no mosquitoes.
No mosquitoes. And actually too, we boated past. In no wake zone with the Cranberry Bog,
yeah.
right? The Cranberry Bog, and we had lunch at the Buckeye Lake Yacht Club. I mean, it may not be the yacht club that you experience elsewhere, but I'll tell you what. This is really near and dear to me because I grew up 30 minutes from Buckeye Lake and just an hour from where we're standing right now. Mm-hmm. So that leads me to think, tell me about your heritage and where you're from. And you're a great addition to the 361 group. Tell me about that.
I'm really enjoying this. My origin couldn't be further away from here. It started way back in Iran or Persia. I came here about 40 years ago. But right now I am stationed, as they say, in Silicon Valley. And I use the station in particular because sometimes you feel like we have this kind of a castle there, that everything is there within us and we don't have to go anywhere else. And it's wonderful to come here and to see that not only there is a lot of interesting ideas, interesting people out here, but I actually enjoy being out here with people who are not thinking the same way as I do. Maybe even they don't have the same value system as I do. Maybe they don't look at investments the same way as I do, because that's really how I learn.
Yeah,
going beyond our comfort zone.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, and I think that's one of the absolute seminal value aspects of 361. The diversity, I mean, if you just look behind me and you can see them and try not to be distracted by them, because the enormity of the diversity that we're experiencing here for people who are intellectually curious like you are, is I think it's astounding, and it's energizing and innovating for me. So let's go back to you in Silicon Valley. So tell me a little bit about what you're up to now as you think about your journey from being a structural or mechanical engineer like my father. Actually, I love that. I come from a family of engineers, although I'm not one. But from there to Wall Street to now doing your own venture fund. Tell me how that all fits together and what makes that then distinct about what you're up to now.
And in some ways, it's all part of a journey that hasn't quite finished yet.
Okay.
It may be that Think Plus is one of the end chapters of it, but not the end chapter of it. Because as you said, I started being an engineer. That was almost required in my culture. You have to be either a doctor or an engineer. So I chose to be an engineer. But pretty soon I got bored with it because it was kind of the same things all over again. I had to do something else. So I went into coding computer programs, and that was interesting. And then I got bored with that, so I looked into going to business school, and I got my MBA, and I went to Wall Street, and that was really rewarding. I learned quite a bit while I spent 10 years on Wall Street, meeting with a lot of smart people, meeting a lot of arrogant people, meeting and making money for them.
There are a few of those there.
They are.
Yeah, a few of those.
So all of those things really shaped my world as to what can I do. And with the things that I had learned, I said, okay, I can now make investments on my own. And that's when I started making my angel investments in 2007. And finally in 2017, after I had made 30 investments, I said, okay, I am ready for the next chapter, which is start a fund, put all of the things I've learned together and see where can I go with this.
Okay.
From being an engineer, trying to build things, and then learning to network, which wasn't easy for me. I'm not really a natural networker, but I really benefit from getting to know people. And this thirst to know the unknown, go places that are not comfortable for me. And how do I put that into a form which can benefit me and my investors? And that's really the story of what we call Think Plus Ventures, which is my fund. And we're raising our second fund right now.
So tell me about Think Plus and what makes it different. Like your journey and how you got there. That's so informative and really helps me understand where you are now. So tell me about it in more depth.
Yeah. See, Think Plus is born out of the idea that there is a different way to invest in early stage startups.
Okay.
The common way is to basically for seed investors, as they call seed stage, to look for the best entrepreneurs and just invest in people.
Yep.
With the idea that people is what really makes a company grow. And I think that's valid and works. But we said, look, that's fine, but there's also a different way. There are market pain points. And these people at the end have to solve those market pain points.
Yeah, so you start with the market.
Why don't we start with there instead of starting from people? We still need to pay a lot of attention to people. But we start with market pain points and then we go after markets that sometimes are not immediately popular. And that's the thing that I learned during my years at Wall Street. When I talked about search, nobody was talking about Google or search. That was like 15 years ago.
Yeah, and you wrote a big paper on that.
I did.
Then all of the big brackets started to use, and they referenced, and even though it wasn't theirs,
it wasn't there, but they would use it. They would say, "Look, this is
that's pretty validating."
That helped me. And then I went to look at Chinese internet sector when there was really nothing in there. That was 2001, 2003.
Oh, wow.
There were only 3 or 4 companies that were penny stocks. .com bubble had burst. And nobody was paying attention to internet, let alone internet in China. And I had this theory that internet is such an enabling new platform that it is even more important for communities and societies like China, which are not efficient in retail, entertainment, communication like we are in here. So in some ways, if you think about the Maslow's pyramid, it's actually higher up for them. For us at that point, internet was a nice addition, it was not necessary. But in China, it was necessary. So that's why I went there, and it was again, new uncomfortable areas for many people. And I went there and came back and told my investors, look, this is a big market. You have to look at it. And I had conferences in Beijing and Shanghai, and they came in, they invested. I had dinner with Jack Ma before his Alibaba company became big. So all these things helped me really understand that by going to different places, whether it's Shanghai or Columbus, Ohio, I get to learn new things and new people. And that's the whole story about Think Plus, that we are not just about Silicon Valley, but we're about finding the best markets wherever they are.
That's great. So thinking about Columbus, Ohio, which is where we're standing right now.
A very nice night.
And on a beautiful night. What are you hoping to find here? You've got great people, obviously we know that. We've got great entrepreneurs, we've got great ideas.
You know,
what do you look for in coming to the Midwest that's different from being in Silicon Valley?
You know, I came here with somewhat of a preconceived notion that we can find the next generation, the next move in the American economy's growth. This is basically the manufacturing rebirth.
Yeah.
But what I'm actually hoping is that there would be things that I wouldn't think about. There would be ideas that would challenge me. I'm not necessarily looking just for the next best investment ideas or next best investors, but for ways of looking at investments that I haven't looked at in Silicon Valley, that people in here look at it.
That's exciting.
Yeah, and so I'm hoping that that would be some of the things that I can take back home.
I love it. So welcome, and I hope that this is not your first and only trip here to Ohio, but that trip to Buckeye Lake, I think that needs to be an annual event.
It would be.
We agree.
It would be. Thank you, Anne.
Okay. Awesome.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Come join our 361 firm community of investors and thought leaders. We have a lot of events created by the community as we collaborate on investments and philanthropic interests. Join us.